Feeding birds in the winter, it's just one of those simple things that brings so much joy. But, and this is a big but, it actually comes with some pretty serious responsibilities. So let's dive into how you can turn your backyard into a true safe haven for birds, and not an accidental trap.
I mean, come on. We've all seen this image, right? That brilliant flash of red from a cardinal against the pure white snow. It's beautiful. And it's what gets so many of us to put out a feeder in the first place. You feel like you're offering a helping hand to our feathered friends during what is, for them, the toughest time of year.
But here's a tough question we've got to ask ourselves. What if, with all our good intentions, our backyards are actually more of a danger zone than a safe place for the very birds we're trying to help? Let's get into why that can happen. So, what do you think is the single biggest danger for birds in our neighborhoods? You might think it's predators, or maybe even the freezing cold. But you'd be wrong. It's something we see right through every day. Our windows. Just look at that number. Over 1 billion. That's the estimated number of birds that die every single year in the US and Canada just from flying into windows. It is an absolutely mind-boggling figure, and it points to a problem that is happening on a massive, massive scale. Now, you might be thinking, oh, that's a problem with giant glass skyscrapers in big cities. But the data, it tells a totally different story. According to Cornell, nearly half, almost 50% of all these fatal collisions happen at homes, places just like yours and mine. And what that really means is that the solution is quite literally in our hands. And get this, winter actually makes everything so much worse. All that bright snow on the ground acts like a giant mirror, creating these intense, perfect reflections on our windows. And at the same time, the trees are bare, so those natural visual cues that might warn a bird are gone. The world basically becomes a confusing and deadly hall of mirrors. So how in the world do we fix this? Well, it's actually pretty simple. It's all about breaking up that reflection. See, birds don't perceive glass the way we do. They see the reflection of the sky and trees and think it's a clear path. That's where this 2x2 rule comes in. If you put markers in a simple 2-inch by 2-inch grid, you send a clear signal to the bird. Hey, this is a solid barrier. Don't fly here. And here are some really easy ways to put that rule into action. Now, the most important thing, and I can't stress this enough, is that the markers have to go on the outside of the glass. That's where the reflection is. You can use special commercial dots, you can get creative with some washable tempera paint, or even hang some strings. Anything you do on the inside, unfortunately, just won't work. The key is to make that invisible threat totally visible to the bird. Okay, so we've made our windows safer. Awesome. Now let's talk about the feeder itself. It's supposed to be a lifeline, right? A source of food. But by bringing all those birds together in one spot, it can also attract some unwanted attention. This is what we call the predator paradox. So, who's the number one predator we're talking about? Well, this might surprise you. It's our own feline friends. A major study estimated that free-ranging cats kill somewhere between 1.3 and 4 billion birds every single year in the US alone. I mean, that's a number that's almost impossible to wrap your head around. The researchers who did that study put it pretty bluntly. They said that cat predation could be the single greatest human-caused source of death for birds in the US. That term they use, anthropogenic mortality, is just a fancy scientific way of saying deaths that we humans are responsible for. And when we put out a feeder, we can accidentally be creating a perfect buffet for predators. But don't worry, we can totally fight back with some smart placement. First, give the birds a real fighting chance. Put your feeder about 10 to 12 feet away from any dense bushes or places where a cat could hide and ambush them. Second, you also want to give them a nearby safe spot, like a single shrub about 5 to 8 feet away, so they have a place to dart to if they see danger. And third, get that feeder up high on a pole with a nice, wide baffle to stop any crafty critters from climbing up. All right, so it's not just about windows and predators. The winter weather itself can be a huge threat. And another thing to think about is that when you gather a bunch of birds in one tiny spot, you also raise the risk of spreading disease. Ice storms, man, those are especially nasty. That freezing rain can coat a bird's feathers, completely destroying their insulation and even their ability to fly. The fix, though, is super simple. Just cover or drain your bird bath before a storm hits. And deep snow, that's another big problem, especially for ground-feeding birds, because it buries all their natural food. You can help out by using a low-platform feeder and just taking a minute to shovel a clear patch on the ground right underneath it. Okay, this one is a really big deal. You've got to keep your feeders clean. Seriously. Think of it like a busy little restaurant. You would want to eat at a place that never cleans its tables, right? Well, neither do the birds. A quick scrub with a simple diluted bleach solution every couple of weeks makes a world of difference. And hey, if you ever do see a sick-looking bird, the absolute best thing you can do is take the feeder down for 2 or 3 weeks to stop the disease from spreading to everyone else.
Whew, we've covered a lot of ground. So let's pull this all together into a simple, easy-to-remember checklist. This is all about making sure your backyard is a safe space for everyone involved. The birds, you, and even your equipment.
First up, for the birds, keep those feeders sparkling clean, okay? Every 2 weeks. If you've got a heated bird bath, check that the water is just above freezing. We're talking 35 to 40 degrees. It's a bath, not a hot tub. And after a heavy snow or ice storm, just give your feeders a quick once-over to make sure they're not damaged. And of course, always keep an eye out for any birds that look like they're feeling under the weather.
Now let's talk about you. It's cold out there, so bundle up. Layers are your best friend. Keep those fingers, toes, and your nose covered up. And please, make sure the path to your feeder is clear and safe. Nobody wants to slip and fall on the ice just trying to fill up the bird seed. And last but not least, your gear. If you're using anything that plugs in, like a heated bird bath, please, please, please make sure you are using a GFCI protected outlet. It is such a simple safety feature that can prevent a really serious accident. And just give those outdoor cords a quick check every week or so to make sure they're still in good shape. So what's the big takeaway from all of this? It's actually pretty simple. Being a responsible bird lover, a responsible feeder, means going way beyond just tossing some seed in a feeder. It's really about taking a few extra steps to create a genuinely safe and healthy environment. And the best part is, as you've seen, it's not even that hard to do. So I'll leave you with this question. This winter, when the birds come to your yard, will it be a true refuge for them or an accidental risk? Now you have all the tools you need to make sure it's a sanctuary. The birds are counting on you.